Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to another session of Canvas Live. Canvas Live sessions are presented by the Canvas community members or instructor employees to help Canvas users like you improve and enhance their teaching and learning with Canvas. We are lucky today. We are having a special series on Canvas Live. We are doing an extended agenda from CanvasCon, Indiana, where we're presenting additional sessions from wonderful presenters. Like today, we have Karen Banks with us to talk about tables and tabs and templates in Pages. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Karen. Karen, we are delighted that you're here and welcome to Canvas Live.
Thank you for having me and welcome to CanvasCon 2017. My name is Karen Banks. I'm a senior lecturer at the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University on the beautiful campus in Bloomington, Indiana. And today I wanted to talk about how to use tabs and templates in Canvas Pages to help you organize your content in your class. So first I'll be talking about templates. Now, templates can be used even for beginning users. So even if you're new to Canvas, templates are something you could start using today. Tabs are a little bit more difficult, definitely achievable for experienced users, or even if you're an adventurous basic user, you still could use tabs. And I'll show you some of the tips and tricks that I've learned in the last year and a half where I've been using tabs. I'll also show you how to use tabs to create simple e-text that have interactive questions, and you could even use tabs in quizzes. So, when a student enters your course in Canvas, is this what they see? Is this the first impression they have at your class? Well, we want to make our classes easy to use because that helps us with the satisfaction of our course. Notice this wasted space in the middle, right? This is boring, unattractive. Who's the instructor? What should I be doing? We can do a little bit better. So maybe instead we could have a course with more structure and beauty. Notice here I have a picture of myself, so this is what I look like. So when students enter into Canvas, even before they come to the first class, they know what I look like. They're familiar with what I look like. Therefore, when they walk into class, I look familiar to them. They're like, yes, she looks nice. I could ask her a question. I have my name, my email, my office hours, class times, locations, maybe required books. For some classes, I have software that I want them to download, even before the first day of class. So I put those instructions there so that they can truly walk into the first class prepared. I may have something more talking about what I'm going to do during the first day. So you can market your course better by setting up a nice template. Now, one thing I haven't done that I would like to do is have maybe a little video here, and maybe instead of the picture, maybe with the picture, where I just simply give a short explanation of the course. So they have a little bit more information, they can hear my voice talking about the class. Notice at the top I have a vertical maroon bar. Now at IU, here we have, or a horizontal bar. Here we have a vertical bar. These are the colors we use at IU, and notice how I've matched those. So you can match the colors so the whole page comes together in a seamless manner. You would need to go find the hexadecimal number, and so on the Canvas page where you entered the class, you'll see I've posted some attachments. One of those attachments has the templates that I'm showing today. So it has how I would do this template, and it also has information about how I would get the hexadecimal number. So I'd take a screenshot, take that picture into Photoshop, and Photoshop would show me that hexadecimal number. And so you can match your colors exactly. For maybe the second class or third class, I have a template that looks a little bit like this. So I have the objectives at the very top. telling the students what they need to do before class begins. So when they come into class, what page in their book should they have open? What files should they have open? Therefore, when class starts, everybody's ready. Well, you know how it is, mostly. During class, what's going on? Into class, what they expect to do, and then a list of what they should do after class. And so I've been using this sort of template, not only in Canvas, but in other learning management systems we had before Canvas. And students love it. If they're sick, they know exactly what they need to be doing to get caught up in the class. One problem that I found with this method I set up here, so this is how I first started out, is that, and now I'm going to switch over to a actual Canvas site. So out of PowerPoint, here we go into Canvas. Let me see if I can find it. So here's an actual Canvas site. So here I can see the welcoming page. So this is what students see before they even come to class. If I go to Pages, notice how there's a previous button and a next button appears at the bottom. And if I go to Next, then I can see my other content. Well, I used this setup the first semester, then I realized there was a problem because students came to me and said, wait a minute, I can't find the content for the other classes. Well, what I had done was go over here and use this page as my front page. So when I go into class 2 or class 3, I change it so once they enter into Canvas, they immediately see the information for that day of class. And so students come here, they see this, notice there is no next, there is no previous button. Students said, well, where is class 2? Where is class 3? Where is that information? Well, we have a little usability problem here. Students didn't realize they needed to go to Pages. So if you do decide to use this setup, that's one of the first things you need to talk about, that to see the other pages, students need to click on Pages, then they can see those buttons to go to Previous and then go to Next. Now, for those of you who are beginning in Canvas, how did I get those Previous and the Next button? So that comes from the modules. So you would click on the plus sign and add a module. And so here I see the CanvasCon 2017. Then you'd click on the plus sign, and then you can add a page to that module. Right? So if you're new to Canvas, that's how you could easily set up something like this. And so now you see those next and previous buttons. So I did use this setup one semester. Students liked it once I got over the usability problem with the pages. I was searching for something else and I came across this. I came across tabs. So using tabs. So here's class 1, class 2, class 3. Well, missing class 4, but well, I'll get back to that in a second. Class 6, class 7, class 8. So see how quicker it is to go to the different contents pages, right? With the previous and next buttons, because they're down at the bottom instead of up at the top, I found with the other setup that students would have to, and I, would continually having to scroll down, hit next, scroll down, hit next, especially if you have a lot of content that day. And that gets very annoying. So you have to remember some students are working on maybe small laptops, not this large screen that we see here today. So that's why I started using these tabs. One problem, though, that you need to be aware of if you decide to use these tabs. Now, I give you the reference where I originally got this from Jeremy Perkins. He had an article called Using jQuery Without Custom JavaScript. I don't think he actually developed this, but he did post a nice page on different, very interesting things you can do in Canvas. And so I give you that reference there in my template download, so you can go look at all the other things you may want to use. So class 1 is always the active tab. So I have not been able to find a way to make class 3 the active tab. So if we're on class 3, I would like this to be the default tab that students see. Now, if you've worked with web pages, you know that in internet, when you're designing web pages for the internet and you're using tabs, you can do this. When people come to your web page, you can make it through. So class 3 is the active tab. But the HTML within Canvas works a little bit differently, and that's one thing I have not been able to figure out. So if you're an experienced user, maybe you can help me out there. So how can I make class 3 the active tab? One way I've solved this problem is to use colors. So notice once again, I'm matching the maroon for Go IU here for exams. So students know exactly when those exams are. And usually here I have the date. I put the date of the class also. And so you may decide to do that too, instead of having class 1, class 2. Sometimes I teach the same class on Tuesday, Thursday, and then Monday, Wednesday, so I combine those sections. And so that's typically why I use class 1, class 2 instead of dates. But you could indicate maybe the date here in the title bar. So here for class 3, notice here I've matched the pages color. So I'm not sure what type of blue-green this is, but I took it in Photoshop, got the hexadecimal number for this sort of blue-green. And so I made this the background color for class 3, and that indicates the active tab. So far, students love it. And that's one of the reasons I've been doing it for so many years, or tabs for a year and a half. It's because students do like this setup. Now, one thing that does happen, since class 1 is always the active tab, I get really tired of seeing my picture. You can only look at yourself for so long. So every day I see this picture. So throughout the semester, I tend to change the picture here so we don't have to look at me past the second week of class. So I talked about how I have class 1 and class 2 and class 3, but where's class 4? Well, I've hidden class 4 because sometimes, quite honestly, you don't want students to see some content before the class. So you can hide different tabs. So that is a hidden tab. And I'll show you here in the editor how to get into that. So one thing I might want to do is, since this is a published page and it needs to be published, I can make this my front page. So once you publish a page, you can make it your front page. Therefore, when students come to the home page, right, that's what they see. Notice my tabs do go ahead and go down to the second line. Okay, so looking this perhaps in the editor to see what we're going to work with here. So going to edit. Uh-oh, look at that. Does that look like tabs? No, it does not. So the first thing you need to know if you're the adventurous type and you want to try and use this is that the rich text editor does not look like the final view. Okay. This is a good place. However, if you want to change the colors of the tabs where you can highlight, you can go here and change the background colors, right? Change the text colors as you see fit. So a lot of times that's a quick way to change those colors. Notice here's my class 4 tab that was hidden, right? If I go down, this is my first page, right? This is my second tab. This is my third tab. This is my fourth tab. So it takes a little bit to get used to. If I go into the HTML editor, and this is where it's helpful if you know a few HTML tags. Here's where it's telling Canvas to do the tabs. The UL, usually for an unordered list, but that's creating the tabs. LI usually creates a bullet, but here it's creating the tab. Ahref is linking to fragment 1. That's the first page, first tab. And then class 1, right? So sometimes I have a hard time changing the name of the tab in the rich text editor. So usually I come here to the HTML editor. If I need to change the name of a tab, I would do it here. Here's the name of the tab for my second tab. Here you can see my background color. So this is that hex number or hexadecimal number that gives me a very specific color. So that's how I can match that background color. Going on down, here's class 4. How did I hide this? Well, right after the LI, I put in class equals hidden. And that is what hides that tab. So yes, I can hide content from students. When I first started using tabs, I've done some web page design. So I thought, well, I'll just use comment tabs or comment tags like you would in an HTML page, which would hide content. So anything within those comment tags would hide content. So I put in my comment tags and it looked great in the rich content editor. Everything looked fine. I saved it and most of my content was deleted. So there's something that Canvas may not like about comment tags. Sometimes I can get it to work okay. Sometimes I suspect I put them in a way that Canvas doesn't like and it deletes my content. So that takes us right into backups, because this is a lot of work to lose. So how would I make a backup? Well, one way, of course, is go to the HTML editor, maybe Control A to highlight everything in that, or maybe click and drag. Those of you Mac users, you'll have to talk among yourselves on maybe how to quickly select something. So I'm doing shortcuts for Windows. Sorry about that. So I could highlight, maybe right-click, copy, or Control-C to copy, and then copy and paste that into another page or maybe into a Word document so I'd have a backup. That's one method. Another method is, let's see, that I actually didn't know about when I had lost my most of my work using comment tags, was the view page history. And probably one of the first things that needs to be taught before anybody enters or starts into Canvas is to go into view page history. And then I can say, whoops, I made a mistake. I'm going to restore it to this version. So a very handy, a very nice item to know about. So thanks to Canvas for putting that in. So this is a wonderful thing to know about. So if you make a mistake, just back it out, go to one of your previous versions. So save often. So most of us don't have just 12 classes during the semester, right? You probably have more than 12 classes. So what I've started to do, I was afraid of having too many tabs, so in Canvas just for the whole semester. So I divide my semester into a Part A and Part B. So the first half of the semester I have Part A, and the second half of the semester I have Part B. It's pretty easy to create links in Canvas, so I can easily return to Part A if I need to. But once again, I'm scrolling down to the bottom of the page. So maybe I could put a link up here, maybe would be better, go to Part B. I don't quite like this, it works okay, but I'm hoping I can figure out something better in the future. So right now, here's my Part A, first half of the semester, and then here's my Part B, which would be the second half of the semester. So then I would set this as the front page, but then students can always go back and find that Part A. Also, you're able to put a page of tabs within a page of tabs. So here's a page of tabs, And down here I have links. So just like you would link to a file. So typically I have links to files down here. So my students never have to go to the files here on the left-hand side. I have things very structured where anything they need to get to is right here, where they can link to an assignment or link to a file. So another nice feature in Canvas. So here I'm linking to another page of tabs. But I could set this up as an e-text. So here I could have text that I want them to read, page 1, page 2, page 3. And then within Canvas, they could do their reading, and then maybe they can answer a question to test their knowledge. So maybe check out Jeremy Perkins' site. So I've also included this in my templates in case you're interested about this. So I've posted a picture of myself on Canvas. Have I ever created a video with a short explanation of my class? Yes? No? That's not quite right. How about maybe? No? That's not right. No? Oh yeah, no, that's right. I've never done that. So I need to get on that. The page history is located under the settings link in Canvas. No, I don't think so. And students like it when you write annoying, responses for them, so they can be surprised. So they like to select the wrong answer sometimes just to see what's there. No, yes, that's correct. So when you're editing a page, click on the gear icon in the upper right-hand corner to find the page history you want. So I could perhaps set up these tabs with some type of little simple readings. The students could read, answer interactive questions. You wish to hide a tab from students, what do you do? Oh gosh, what was that? Oh yes, that's that class equal hidden. Right? You wish to change the color of a tab, what do you do? Right? Well, maybe try it first in the rich text editor. But if you need to put in the exact color, you may need to go into the HTML code and then put in that hexadecimal there. So that gives you an idea of how maybe you could set up an e-text with interactive questions that students can check their knowledge as they go along. Well, what if you don't want an interactive question? You really want something that will go in the grade book. Well, you can also put these within quizzes. So if I go to quizzes, I have my CanvasCon quiz here. And so any rich text editor I can set up to put in quite a bit of information. So I've just copied and pasted that template that I've given you here into one of my questions. And so to preview this to see how maybe it'd look for students, right? So this is how it looks. So you would have your reading that students would need to do. And then at the bottom of the page, they would answer questions, right? This is a Canvas quiz. So that can be graded and go right to the grade book. So do some reading, answer some questions. So I don't quite like how it looks. I think it looks maybe a little bit chunky, but it's definitely usable. For the future, of course, working on mobile devices is very important, and that's not something I've checked into. So how well this works on mobile devices. And then also printing. So if you have some type of e-text, some people may want to be able to print it out. So right now it doesn't come out very nicely when I try to print. And I know in HTML there's ways of setting up tags to make sure you only print a certain amount of the page, but I haven't gotten that to work in Canvas yet. And maybe some of you know more of how to do that, how to make these pages print out quite nicely. So I haven't been to my PowerPoint, so perhaps going back there. So I went through templates, talked a little bit about Jeremy Perkins, who had this very nice article. Tabs, how to use the rich text editor. Talked a little bit about editing in the rich content editor and hiding tabs and warning to be careful about comment tags if you're used to web design. Using, of course, the view page history, one of the first things people should know about. Linking from page to page. And then doing tabs within quizzes. So are there any questions I can answer from the audience? I really thank you for letting me talk with you today. And I'd be happy to answer questions that anybody has, or maybe I went through something too quickly and I can show it again.
Thanks, Karen. It doesn't look like there are any questions coming through, but we'll wait a few more minutes. But if you do have questions or watch this video again and have follow-up questions for Karen, please feel free to post them on the event page where you found this information for this session, and we'll continue the dialogue there. And you know, Karen will be happy to answer some of those follow-ups as well. Right, Karen?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's exciting. This is really cool stuff. And I also posted the link to Jeremy's blog that you referenced in the chat as well. So for those of you who want to reference it there, can. So just, I do have one follow-up question sort of to set the expectations for people who do want to sort of take their courses to this design style. What did you find your learning curve to be? Especially for people who may not, or maybe just starting to venture into tweaking the HTML?
Well, the first problem I had was understanding that the HTML in Canvas was different than how it was rendered in our previous learning management software or system, and then how it works in HTML. So you have to be careful and understand that things don't always work quite how you would like them to work. So just creating a web page in a web page editor and then copying that and pasting it into the HTML editor may not work. And so I've spent quite a bit of time working on that HTML and making sure it works and making sure it looks nice.
Great. Let's see, let's check the comments one more time. Okay, we do have a question. Have you tried using tabs in an actual quiz question?
Yeah, very good. Yes, you can actually do that. I thought about showing that today, but I've never actually used it that way. So you have a very, very nice comment. So if I go back to my Canvas site, I guess I was there, and going to quizzes, you're exactly right. Anytime there is a rich content editor, you can add that in the questions. I haven't figured out a way where, for my classes, I thought it would be useful. So what we would do is click on this, edit the question, and then I could go switch here to the HTML editor and, you know, copy and paste my HTML there, or, you know, create it here. But I just don't have a use for that for my classes. So I have not done that. But yes, that was a very advanced question. Yes, that is possible.
Great. Well, there are no questions, follow-up questions, but we really do, you know, encourage you to participate and ask questions for Karen in her event page if you do come up with any follow-up stuff, or if you wanted to add to the conversation and sort of help build, give feedback and build on the topic of course design and things like that. I'm sure that that would be a very useful conversation to have. We also have the instructional design group in the community that you can join and continue sort of offshoot from this conversation to different topics as well in course design. Karen, thank you so much for being here with us. We really appreciate your insight and sharing your tips and tricks. This was very useful, and hopefully we'll see you back on Canvas Live in a future session as well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day, everybody.